Welcome everybody. Sorry for that slight delay. So first thing we're going to look at is this dollar. And you can see we've had a couple of pushes up. So let's just identify this year. This is the start of 24. So the dollar kicked off with a couple of waves, the upside into April, and then lower high in June. And here we are just coming to support. We got not a lot of days this week. Got ECB decision, not expecting any rate rises in Europe this week, this time. UK retail sales, UK inflation. So splatterings of data, not a lot else. UK retail sales expected to drop. So if this continues lower, so the main support down there is not far off. I'll just fit this last range. So it looks as if we want to see 103 next stop, but we're right at this sort of point, this pivot point. So if we turn around and start to gain above 104, then expect that to pop up. If we close either side of that, then we're range bound and we're just going to flap along until we get out of July into August potentially. Bear in mind we are obviously in summer doldrums here. So let's have a look at the FTSE first. So the FTSE is, you can see on this naked chart, great start to the year, push right up into May, sell in May and go away. And here we are struggling, looking as if we're going to come and test 80.75 next. So we really couldn't do much with that. We kept having a little series of lower highs, and now we are dropping out potentially at least 875 and much lower if that doesn't hold. So the expectation is to have very weak retail sales on the data on Friday. So unless we turn around and hold 82.50, we are coming lower. Dow, however, up till now, come on, Dow, where are we? Yeah, okay, so here we are with the Dow. Look at this 3-point highs. If we close underneath this is big. This could start to see, if we fail underneath this pattern here and subsequently come under 39,000 and stay under 39,000, expect a significant pullback. Okay, let's take this one out. So there's a nice clean chart. If I drag that up, so ever since we dropped down there in mid-April, we've had higher highs and higher lows up to now. But at this point, again, I'll repeat the summer doldrums. The volume is not there. This is going to come back. So just watch this level very, very closely here on the Dow. Contrast that with the Nasdaq. Yeah, so Nasdaq had this deep sell bar on Thursday, and all we're doing is pulling back into that. This is very, very common. So again, if the Nasdaq can't hold this and closes underneath that Thursday low, then expect this to pull right back. Some divergences up there. terms of the volume. What else can I show you? Let's put a 20-day average on there. The 20-day average is tucked underneath us. So a bullish move would be to reconnect with that 20,000, hold, and then go back up to the highs and potentially beyond. Again, let's clean this one up a bit. So if that is a significant sell signal. So if we fail here, we're coming back to, so a good place to get short, if you want to get short this one, well, I would short the Dow rather than the NASDAQ. Why? Because if the NASDAQ is going to ping up, it's going to ping up much more aggressively, I think. So ideally, short into about 660, 700, even into that 780. If you want to offer out up there with a stop above the highs, because if we start getting some lower closes here, this could really fall out. Well, I say fall out, at least pull back. Just watch that clean chart. So look at that trend line coming from March highs, late June highs, broke above it. So closing underneath that trend line is very bearish. As long as if we stay under there, the longer we stay under there, the harder we could fall and pull back. Okay, and let's have a look at Euro. Let's gather some speed now. Euro is at the moment holding up. There's a lot of resistance in that zone. So if we push into here and close underneath 108, this is coming lower. So it's ECB this week, and here we are with a sell zone from March, which we've just tapped into and closed outside of. So a lower close here could see this coming back to 24 lows. Pound US holding up. Vulnerable though, just underneath that trend line. Very vulnerable. Let's start looking at gold. Look at a few commodities. So gold, really, really bullish. Wow, it's already had a good start to the week. A lot of congestion just above us. You know what? I would sit tight and see if you can pick up 23.75, 78. If that's not going to pull back, then you'd be lucky to see 2400. Because if we punch up there and get through 2450, then 2500 plus, here we come. That's obviously on the bull side. On the bear side, we close underneath 2400 and expect again a significant pull back in that one. Bitcoin, right. Yeah, Bitcoin has been suffering recently, hasn't it? Yeah. So it's fallen right back into this. So we had a break up here on the left of the chart in Feb. So we dipped into that breakout zone, held up on Friday, and yeah, very nice push. That's viable. If you see 61,400 and we subsequently close above 65, then that looks higher. So this is potentially what we're seeing in the Dow. back here in early June, tried to punch through that trend line, closed underneath, and the subsequent highs sold into that. So we could be about to see something similar in the Dow. Right. Wheat is just not doing it. We cannot hold support. We looked all right up here into early July. We looked okay, but this is looking like we can come and see 5.25 and possibly $5 at that rate. But so we looked okay up there at 6:30, broke down on 14th of June. Looks as if we were perking up, but couldn't get above that 20-day average. And here we are looking lower. Yuck. Not what I expected. Um, so let's just see if we land on 5.25 and go and test 5. Obviously, turn back around 5.50 and we've got some potential. The sugar, very nice day on the sugar. So that's come back into June support and picked right up. So if we can break today's highs, we should go and see 13 plus. Potential head and shoulders. So we've got a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. So this is the neckline. We can close above this neckline. At the moment, I've got 12.30 down there. Close above that neckline and hold. Then we could wind our way back up. Crash into that trend line. Start closing lower. Then expect this one to fall out the tree as well. But in the meantime, this is a nice bullish pattern, and the possibility of closing above 12.30, 12.50 is there, and that could give us a nice run, or certainly give me a nice run anyway. But that wheat is horrible. Right. Let's look at silver. So not that far away, we saw 28.50. Any pullback? So we've got a lot of data this week. So if we pull back just under that 30 mark and hold, that's the time to get in to see if we can come back and break these highs. So I like silver. If that can pull back and let us in, that would be good. And oil. Oil looks as if it's had enough. Again, couldn't get through this trend line. Can't get above the 20-day average. So we could potentially, any moves into 82, 83. So if we do turn around and come back into that trend line, then that could really, that's normally likes the blue touch paper. If it's bearish, of course, we like the blue touch paper into that resistance, and that could really cave in and get back down to these lows. Start holding 82, 83, and then we could go back to 85, 90. Right. Let's go straight into stocks now. Just taking a position in Tullow last week. So I saw all this, all this main support here. Again, shoulder, head, potential shoulder. There's the neckline we've come in contact with at the highs and rejected. So obviously I need this to hold this 30 mark. So I think 30, 31 is a buy with a stop underneath 30. Because if we can break up here, we could go all the way up to 50 plus. 48.49 is an extension. You can see not that far away when April 22 we're up there at 60. Is that possible? Yeah, could do. But at this stage, I'm just looking for a move from 30 to 50. CPI, Capita is holding up well. I got out at 20, it's 21 and a half, looks higher. Significant volume coming in on the pullback. So we closed above this February high, so that's a very, very bullish close today. If it gets going, we could see 25 plus. The main breakdown was 27 and 30. So at the moment, looks higher. If you're not in it, you're going to need to buy 20 with a stop at least under 18. If you're in it and you are very bullish, sit tight. All right, let me get my proper list up. Right, here we go. Let's have a look at Vodafone. No, dropping. I got results in about another week, I think. That looks as if that's going to come down to 68 at least. I can take this out. Possibly all the way down to 65. If we keep closing lower, of course. We've had a decent move up here on this month, but hit the buffers of that 72 last Wednesday. BT is flailing around as well. That's a good move into 145. So that looks as if we're going to see 135. And we could come all the way down to 130 or lower if we sit in this trend line support. Prudential. Right, Prudential's falling back to a buy zone for me. So I would very much, I'm going to leave this alone, see if we can drop back to 695, at which point I would be a buyer. So that's really coming to focus now. I was hoping to get in this last week and it ran away from me. Ran into 748. So that is, I'm going to just give that a bit more time. Legal and general. Sitting on very decent support. If we close underneath this 230, then expect to see at least 225 again, possibly lower. So that's just a watch for me. I'm just going to sit tight and watch legal and general. Direct line. It's not appearing in my list. I don't know why. Let's go and right. Let's go and find it. Yeah, I again, this is I'm really keen to get into this one as well. but I am just going to because it's broken the structure there. It looks to me as if I would love to see that down at 165 or 168. And the volumes are really falling off there. So again, that's just a watch. What else am I going to show you? Lincoln General we looked at, didn't we? Pfizer, I think that's a buy at 28. If you're patient, you might see 28 again. Intel was picked up. I still think that it's really decent volume on Friday. So that may not pull back further if the traders are going to sit in that one, that may not dip much further. So if you want to get into Intel and not, you may have to pay a higher price. If you're very patient, that could come back. It's a little bit like BT. BT ran up and did very shallow pullbacks. It's possible that might only do shallow pullbacks as well. US stock QCon looks like that. Decent volume today. So that may, or this dip back here in 27th of June might be it. Man Group pulling right back. Bristol Myers pulling back. So with this big push up on the 9th of July, we might well see get a third touch of that 39.30. And if that holds, drops to 39.30 and holds, I mean, even if it drops underneath 39.30, as long as if it subsequently closes back, that's got me even keener. So I will keep so it just seems to be a series of watches this week. But the one I do want to enter is Prudential. Anything else you want me to look at? Night. Ah, yes, you did say that one. That should be on my list as well. Got to put it on. Okay, let me. Wow, the market's really falling out of love with this one. Is there a story behind this? I would steer clear personally. Are you in this? Okay, I'll look at a weekly. The Fibonacci ratios on this range. So in March 2020, right, so we're coming back to the COVID support basically. It held its ground on the first week, beginning the first. This is a weekly, isn't it? Well, it looks to me as if this wants to go and see 67.28. Nothing. I presume you're looking to enter long, are you? I've assumed that. Yeah. Well, it looks to me as if it wants to come and see this 67.28. Um, if it were to turn around, if it holds this little area here, 72.30, if we start closing above, I'd buy it. Otherwise, I would look for that to be lower. The signs were there. We had a head and shoulders short on there, on this one, and the neckline failed in May 23. Um, Huge breakdown. Well, that visited this high in December last year, visited the breakdown area. Yeah, I would keep a close eye on where we are right now. I'd need to see that close above 74 with a decent volume uptick. Otherwise, I would just leave it and back off. I'll put this on my watch list now before I forget. Right. Um, Anything else you want to look at? Otherwise, I think I will leave it there. Interesting chart. Very, very interesting chart. I mean, if we ever close above 80, if we do start to pick up here and close above 80, then yeah, that could be a good stock to get in. I've not picked anything else up on my scans this week. Good. Okay, that I'll leave it there. Um, yeah, I think so too. All right, be careful this week. Let's see what the market is going to give us. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.